Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for November 21st, 2013. And this one starts off with one of those 365 video clips of Bobby Roode attacking James Storm at a bar. He beats the crap out of him, hits him with a pull cue, hit him with something else too. I can't remember what it was, like a bar stool or something like that. Just lays him out. Then we see Dixie Carter talking to Samoa Joe. And she says she never wants to hear Joe talk to her with that tone the way he did last week. And he's lucky to be in the company at all. And then we get Dixie coming out. It's the start of the show. And she's talking about AJ Styles again and how he's wrestling for pesos in third world countries. James Storm comes out. He's got the bull rope. And he says he knows he's facing Bobby Roode later in the bull rope match, but he wants it to be no disqualification. He wants to be able to use chairs and tables and more weapons than just the bull rope. Dixie says no, and Storm says, well, the police came up to me and said, hey, you can press charges against Bobby Roode if you want, and unless I get this match, I might just have to do that. So Dixie gives in, and Storm is going to face Bobby Roode in a no DQ match. So the first match on the show is Samoa Joe versus Magnus. Falls Count Anywhere. I did like this match, but the finish, that was just really goofy. You gotta admit, that finish was pretty weak. To start with, Magnus comes out and then Joe appears on the screen. And he's like, hey man, I'm here to fight. This is Falls Count Anywhere. Come back here and get you some. Or something like that. So Magnus goes backstage, and then when it comes back from commercial, it just shows clips of what happened backstage. We don't actually get to see any of this as it happens. So it shows like Magnus going over a table or being thrown into this like wooden thing. I don't know what you'd call it. And that was it. Then they're already back on the ramp. They fight back to the ring. Most of the match took place in the ring, and I thought it was a fine match, but they really didn't use the Falls Count Anywhere stip. At the very end, Magnus puts a chair in between the ring post on the outside, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you could just throw him into the ring post and do more damage. But he puts the chair there, and Joe charges him. Magnus moves out of the way. Joe falls and acts like he hits his face on the chair. It just looked really bad. And then Magnus covers him and gets the win. So Magnus advances, but yeah, it was a good match. It was really hurt by the finish. The stipulation wasn't really used except for those little snippets we got early on. So it could have been much better. Okay, so now it's time for Joseph Park versus Abyss. And it starts off with Bad Influence. They come out and they say, hey, we've been waiting to see this one, so we're going to sit ringside. So Joseph Park comes out. He calls out his brother Abyss. Big surprise, he doesn't show. So they say his name again, play his music. He still doesn't show. So Bad Influence gets in the ring and they're like, where's your brother? Where's the monster Abyss? And Christopher Daniels just proceeds to berate Joseph Park, saying he's excrement. He is the lowest of the low, a failure, a loser, a tub of goo. He just goes off on him. And Joseph Park is just sitting there taking this. And then in a scene from Carrie, actually it wasn't a scene from Carrie because nothing happened, but Kazarian dumps a bucket of blood over Joseph Park. So he's covered in blood, and obviously, because we've been watching Joseph Park see blood and freak out for months now, you would expect him to attack Bad Influence, but he doesn't. I guess it has to be his own blood, who knows, but nothing happens. He just slinks away to the back. And that was it. That was Joseph Park versus Abyss. So I don't think anybody expected this match to happen. It was just, what are they going to do to explain why it doesn't happen? And they really did nothing. They didn't explain why Abyss wasn't there. They just tried to do something new with Joseph Park. So I guess Joseph Park is going to leave, maybe come back with a new attitude or something, or Abyss just comes back to stand up for his brother. Basically the same crap we've been seeing. So I didn't really care for this. Christopher Daniels was really good, just the way he was going off on Joseph Park, this verbal beatdown he gave him. But yeah, I mean, why even advertise Joseph Park versus Abyss? I don't know. The whole thing was just a silly waste of time. So it's Gail Kim versus Candace LaRue. I think that's her name. And this is Gail Kim's second open challenge. And I thought this match was okay. I don't know how green Candace LaRue is, so I can't really say. But she had a lot of enthusiasm. There was a couple of botched spots, some miscommunication, timing was a little off. But it was still okay. You could tell Gail Kim was trying to bring her to a good match. Gail was obviously the ring general out there. And Gail hits Eat Defeat for the win. Then we get another video of AJ Styles wrestling in Japan. And Mr. Anderson cuts a promo saying the Aces and Eights are done tonight. And they should have been done a long time ago. We see James Storm backstage getting some weapons together for his match against Rude. And Gunner comes up and says, you know you don't need all this stuff to beat Bobby Roode. And Storm says, I know I don't need it, I want it. I want to punish Roode. So we get Roode versus Storm, and it's not a no DQ match, it's a Florida death match. And these are two guys who don't need gimmicks to put on a great match. But the way they use the weapons here I really liked. I thought this was awesome stuff. Storm gets busted open, I think it was hard way, so he's actually bleeding a little bit from the very beginning. And he hits a super kick on Roode. Roode rolls to the outside, hits Storm with a beer bottle. And after that, he just kills Storm. Storm gets up before the 10 count. So Roode puts him through 2 standing chairs. And the chairs just explode. Storm still gets up. So Roode's like, I got to do something to put this guy away. So he goes outside and he gets a barbed wire board from under the ring. And I have a couple questions here. It's just nitpicking. But this was supposed to be a bull rope match. I don't even think they used the bull rope. And Storm requested that it become a Florida death match. So Roode didn't expect a death match. So why was there a barbed wire board under the ring? And how did Roode know it was there? If he thought, hey, this is just going to be a bull rope match. So I thought that was kind of goofy. And he gets ready to put Storm through the barbed wire board, and Gunner runs out. He throws in the towel, and he says, enough is enough. It's over. You won. So the ref raises Roode's hand, and Roode leaves. And Storm, once he comes to, is really pissed off at Gunner for stopping the match. And Gunner's like, hey man, I care about you. This could have ended your career. And Storm's just pissed and walks off. But yeah, this was a great match. Okay, so this whole thing with Sam Shaw, I like this, but it was really weird and unexpected. So, Sam Shaw was a gut check winner, and he had this gimmick where he was like an extreme sports guy. He liked to surf and snowboard and skateboard and all that stuff. So they did this little segment, and I'm surprised the guy still has a job, honestly, after all these cuts, where Christy Hemme goes to his house, and it's kind of like Cribs, to introduce us to the wrestler, and the first thing he says is, call me Samuel. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to turn him heel. This is like a new character for him. So he shows her some of his drawings, and she's like, well, thank you for the interview, and it's over, but the cameras are still rolling. And he says, well, there's a restaurant opening up, and I'd like to take you out. And Christy Hemme says, okay, and gives him her number. And then she leaves, and Sam Shaw like goes over to the table where she wrote down her number, and he like puts everything in order. Like he has OCD and everything has to be perfect. So it was weird, but I liked it because I feel like he can pull this off. The extreme sports guy I wasn't really into, but this character, I think it's unique. It could be pretty cool, depending on how they do it. So I'm curious to see what happens with this, honestly. But yeah, it was very bizarre. Did not expect to see Sam Shaw or Samuel Shaw, and now he's got this OCD gimmick. I don't even know how that would translate into a wrestling match. Like, normally you have a guy who is the pretty boy, so he doesn't want to get his face messed up, and he's always trying to protect his face. And then if the other wrestler hits him in the face, he snaps and freaks out on the guy. You see stuff like that, but how would OCD, like being a perfectionist, like translate into a wrestling match? I don't understand that. Then we see Norv Furnham and Dewey Barnes. Norv Furnham, this guy is awesome. And I would love to see Norv Furnham get a meeting with Vince McMahon and see what Vince McMahon says about Norv Furnham. Just the way this guy looks. What would Vince McMahon say if Norv Furnham said, hey, I want to be a wrestler for your company? Like, what would Vince do? But EC3 comes in, and he says that he can't face them again, because if he's beat them so many times, if he beats them again, it would just be jumping the shark at this point. So he just flew them down to tell them that they suck. But yeah, both these segments were really good. We get an awesome promo from Bully Ray on Mr. Anderson, and how Anderson is ungrateful, and Bully Ray's going to take him out and then take care of his pregnant wife. Kurt Angle's backstage talking about his match against Magnus. Some guy comes up and says Dixie Carter needs to see you right now, and that was it. I actually think the finals of the tournament, it's going to be Angle versus Bobby Roode, and Bobby Roode is going to win and become the new TNA World Champion, because you need a heel to win the tournament so that they can feud with AJ Styles. So that's the way I see that going down. Then we get EC3, and he says he's going to face a TNA legend, and it's Shark Boy. So I was really excited for his entrance and everything, but the match itself was ass. There was a huge botch right in the middle of the match, and EC3 basically just had to throw Shark Boy, and then he hits the driver for the win. So Dixie tells Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode that for the Thanksgiving episode of Impact, they're going to have an 8-man tag match. So Angle has to find 3 guys, Roode has to find 3 guys, and they're going to have an elimination 8-man tag, basically a Survivor Series match for Thanksgiving. Then we get the main event, Bully Ray versus Mr. Anderson, no DQ match, career versus the end of the Aces and Eights. And some of the wrestlers come out to watch on the ramp, like Angle, Gunner, I think Samoa Joe, I can't really remember who else was up there. So they have the match. Actually, at the start of the match, Anderson attacks Bully Ray and knocks Jeremy Borash over, which was funny. And the match was pretty good. I liked this. Anderson gets attacked by Nuxie, of course. And no, none of the guys on the ramp try to help him. Instead, he fights him off, and he goes to pile drive Nuxie on the concrete, but he really just pile drives him on the mat. He misses the concrete. Bully Ray spears Anderson through a table, and Brooke Tessmacher throws Bully Ray the hammer, but Anderson catches it instead, hits Bully Ray, hits the mic check, gets the win. He rips Bully Ray's cut off. Angle, Joe forced Taz to take his cut off, and that was it. The Aces and Eights are finally done. Thank God it's over. One thing I do have to say, though, is them tights Mr. Anderson was wearing. My God, those things were hideous. Those are some ugly ass wrestling tights. But as far as the Turning Point show goes, I know they call these shows Turning Point and stuff like their pay-per-views. They're really not. It definitely wasn't a pay-per-view quality show, but it was a good show. This was a good Impact here. I like the build-up. I like the matches. And the Anderson-Bully Ray match with Anderson defeating the Aces and Eights once and for all went off without a hitch, in my opinion. It was amazing. It was a great way to end it. Well, I wouldn't say amazing. Maybe that's a little too strong of a word. But it was really well done. the way Anderson caught the hammer, hit Bully Ray with the hammer, which is how he always took guys out when the Aces and Eights were running strong. So he hits him with the hammer, then the mic check, rips the cuts off. It was just good stuff. So I really enjoyed Impact this week. So anyways, that's my review. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.